talking?
Yeah, not to my song.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go to Chris's camera. Check out Lahaina. How do you say that? Oh.
He doesn't know what to do with this.
I'm putting it down.
Thank you.
No, I knew the reference. Don't try to pull that over on me.
I wasn't doing anything.
I got a reputation to maintain.
It's Lahaina. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So you wouldn't throw any spice on it? Like when you guys throw Hawaii. But I hear like Tulsi Gabbard say Hawaii. Is that like
I don't want to get political.
Oh. So as you can tell, we have a fresh trans male female on the podcast. I don't know why I'm looking this way.
Yeah, why?
That's
I shouldn't have shaved before I came
direction
here.
of your cancellation.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
what you're
Got it.
looking at. Yeah.
We have Peter Buttigieg on the podcast.
I was gonna say that. You beat me to it.
Do I look like that guy?
It's more of a lifestyle thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You and him,
You do like transportation, so.
same community. Transportation.
I do like transportation.
See?
I don't like walking everywhere.
You like Google
Right on.
like off ramps and different flows of like what's the benefits of a roundabout compared to a street light?
I do follow that one guy that enjoys trains. So, yeah.
That leads to the lifestyle that we've already talked about. Yeah.
So, what's his real name?
You don't even know that.
Bryan. I don't know how to say your last name.
Try it.
Try it. I got to think of how to even. Buttigieg?
Bootling?
Bootling is close. It's butling.
Butling.
Yeah.
How is that Hawaiian?
It's not. Okay. I don't even know what it is.
That's
to
why he
be
goes
honest.
by Boots.
Yeah.
And that's why people back in your home country call you
Thank you.
Boots
Yes.
or Slippas.
Slippas. That's what Carrie calls them now.
So he's a fellow black belt.
Sorry.
Gosh. Trains with us. Are you part of our gym? Or who do you
I don't want to get political.
You dirtbag.
Where does your allegiance lie?
Yeah. Which you said before the podcast started that you didn't want to get in trouble with your significant other.
Yes.
Which I'm trying to do right now.
Zapateiro Jiu-Jitsu.
in
over now.
Hawaii.
Yeah. In Hawaii.
Yep. Under Professor Ken.
Kyle.
Yep. Met him before.
Yeah.
Doesn't show. And then you immigrated
I did.
to the mainland.
Yes. Got my visa.
And you were primarily at Elite or T3MA.
Correct.
And then you've been cross-training with us for a couple of years.
2022. The year we went to Master Worlds. That was when I started.
That was
it was
the
on
first.
January.
I see. Yeah. So with that, you are actually married to a much more prestigious black belt.
Definitely.
She's a fourth degree?
Third degree. Yeah.
We had her on the podcast, I think like episode like 11 or something.
Yeah, we did.
When we did the ladies podcast, and she was on there, Professor Andrea. But that's your little bit of history there. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Why are you the way that you are? Why'd you start jiu-jitsu and when?
Oh, okay.
Because as people, did we say he's a black belt?
Yeah.
We did.
Got his black belt pretty much when we did.
No, he got it after we did.
I like that.
We've discussed this before.
Now I want to get political. Nah.
Professor Kyle, you slipped up a little bit, just saying. So when did you start and why? What got you into jiu-jitsu and when was that?
Good question. So I think growing up, martial arts has always been part of my life. I think like any young person that grew up, we all watched martial arts movies. Specifically for me and my household, we watched martial arts movies because when my dad immigrated to the country, for him to learn English, he used to watch a lot of like kung fu movies, and so they had like the subtitles, with what was his name? Steven Seagal in Bloodsport.
Oh my
What?
God, dude, shut up.
And that's how I got canceled.
Wow. That's worse than any immigration joke I've ever made.
They're trying to call me Steven Seagal on Saturday.
Well, we see why though.
I know.
Virtually identical.
No.
Look at his body.
Please.
Look at his hairline. Done.
Anderson Silva, Steven Seagal.
Good question. Definitely not Under Siege, Steven Seagal.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, probably the guy that just got his award from Putin like last week. Steven Seagal.
You throw on the sunglasses.
Oh.
You know, after doing this for over 2 years, it's the first time you hurt my feelings.
I don't feel good about it, but I don't feel bad.
So,
So going back to your question, so always followed martial arts. I mean, everyone looked up to like Bruce Lee. Tried to, when I was 5 years old, tried to learn like the 1-inch punch, stupid stuff like that, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to hurt your friends.
No.
You did it to like a book or something.
No, so they did it to me. I was like the young kid in the neighborhood that tried to do everything. Like, oh, we should do this. So let's test it on Bryan.
Yeah.
So did taekwondo, did karate, and then
Spicy.
yeah. And then when I moved, so I grew up on Maui in Lahaina. That's why the hat's here. And when I moved to Oahu to go to college, I was looking up internships on this internship board. And this one that really caught my eye was, what was the place called? It was called Fighters Corner. It was this internship to work at Fighters Corner.
Okay.
And I was like, what the hell is this? That sounds amazing. And at the time, I was like 180. I wasn't working out. Wasn't doing anything.
a little thick.
Little thick, yeah.
Yeah.
Just working out, eating protein,
yeah.
No cardio whatsoever. And then I was just like, I'll try out this internship at Fighters Corner. And walked in, the guy, Mark, asked me, do you know what MMA is? I was like, oh, of course.
When was this?
This was 2000, probably 2007, 2006. And I was like, yeah, of course. I've watched it. I've never done anything. I didn't have a gym like jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or kickboxing where I grew up.
That wasn't too long after, I don't believe, the Stephan Bonner.
It was right afterwards.
It was right around that time.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, cool. Like, you got it. I was like, oh, awesome. And he's like, oh, for you to kind of really understand like who the clientele is, I really suggest you go check out this gym called HMC. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go check it out. Walked in, and it was an MMA school, just in the heart of Kalihi. If you're familiar with Oahu, Kalihi is kind of like this toughish area of town. But like all the fighters back in the day came out of HMC. And the cool thing about HMC is it's affiliated to AMC up here.
Yeah.
I forget who the head guy is.
Hume.
Who?
Matt Hume.
Yeah, Matt Hume. So Haru Shimanishi opened up AMC with Matt Hume back in the day here. And then Haru moved to Oahu and then started HMC out there. Haru is this old school Japanese kickboxer, fought all the Dutch kickboxers back in the days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I walked in and I just instantly fell in love. And I actually started with MMA first. This was 2007. Trained MMA, everything from the ground with no-gi, stand-up, wrestling. And then I had my first fight in 2012. And then I busted my knee. And after that, and for those of you who don't get hurt, once you get like your knee busted, it's really hard to come back to do like anything.
I can imagine.
And I hurt my knee, and I've had knee problems quite a bit my whole life. And
You just got a bad gene pool kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or
I can go into detail what it is.
You got short into the stick is what I'm saying. Like your gene pool is good, but you got the runt of the layer.
It's like your hairline.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But in your body.
Yeah.
My hairline is your lower body.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not. I mean, my right side still works great.
Let's not get crazy.
Crazy. Okay.
It was fixable. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Okay.
Look at this guy.
And I don't go down, but long story short, that's how it started. And then got hurt, and then I just went to Gi. Kyle trained there, so Kyle Takao. That's where I met him. He did MMA like everyone else did back in the day. He fought in Japan, fought on the same card as Ramina Sato, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then he opened up a little gym. He didn't open up a gym. He just rented out space from like this little, God, it must have been 10 by 10 personal trainer area. And we would just throw mats and do gi. And that started in 2012. And then I've been doing gi since then.
So I remember first time I met you was at, or at least was around you, was Andrew and I visited Andrea's gym.
Yep.
I don't think you guys are dating yet.
We were.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
And yeah,
It might have been a secret though.
Yeah, maybe. I was a blue belt. I just got my blue belt, and we dropped in with Lawrence and Andrew.
And Josh was there too.
Haggerty? Oh, okay, Haggerty. Yeah. That's right. And I remember you were a brown belt, but you had long hair. That's why I didn't think they were together, because he looks zesty.
Oh, there's so many bad stories about that too.
This dude.
You talking about the underwear story? Yeah.
Well, we haven't gotten there
Well, that
yet.
adds to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We thought he was dating every dude in the gym, basically. Turns out he was dating the female professor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him. But I remember you were a brown belt, tattered brown belt too. But I got my black belt before you. I was just wondering how that feels.
Really, Bill?
Well,
Gosh.
So kids,
set 'em up.
jiu-jitsu isn't about getting belts. It's the journey.
not according to Bill.
That's just something ugly people say.
Well, and if we want to split hairs, I actually got promoted 5 minutes before Bill.
That's true.
5 minutes because his freaking speech took so long.
You did.
Would have been 10 seconds in a normal scenario.
It was awkward though. There, sitting there as a brown belt watching YouTube. Jokers getting promoted. I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous.
The only reason is because you have a little bit of honor in your blood, and you wanted to get your black belt from Professor Kyle.
And I didn't want to pay for it.
Yes.
That's almost
See
like
the sponsorship here?
Do you understand?
That's almost like a backhand against Professor Andrews. Somehow.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Andrew. You know I love you.
No, you ain't joking. The things I had to do to that man.
Bill,
Like Harvey Weinstein type stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
okay. So yeah, that was the first time. How long had you?
So, sorry, just to double click on that. I actually purposely didn't roll with you because you gave off spazzy blue belt energy.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, I rolled with Andrew, Josh, and Lawrence.
No.
And I didn't roll with you.
No, it was because I was a fat turd. And you were scared how big I was.
It wasn't spazzy.
I was like, oh, there's a reason they're bringing a blue belt. Like, he's probably like some muscle enforcer guy, like aggro. I'm like, I'm not rolling with him.
That's a good point. Is if there's like fellow upper belts visiting, but they happen to bring one lower belt, that guy's probably a handful.
like Casey.
Something like that. Yeah.
No, he had like donut,
And then when
donut glaze on him.
Yeah.
And then when I first rolled with you, I was caught off guard because then you're just, you pulled guard. I'm like, brain doesn't compute. Thought he was a wrestler.
That's hilarious. Okay, so that's why you got in. It was almost happenstance that you got in. Like you just, as in into jiu-jitsu.
It was God's will.
Yeah. You are God's son, if you will. And then you were training there, and you're still under Professor Kyle, but then you moved to Washington.
Yeah.
Why'd you even move here? There's a good scene in Capitol Hill. I do know that.
I needed to come out. So on the professional side, I had hit my ceiling in Hawaii. I work in tech. At least I try to work in tech.
Well, yeah, that was because you said, let me double click on that. I was like, oh my God, that's such a tech thing to say.
So I hit my ceiling there, and I just needed a change. And there was an opportunity to get an internship at Microsoft.
You're just full of interns.
Yeah.
Literally.
I can't say anything. I'll lose my job.
Set up right there.
Yeah. And so there's an opportunity to get an internship at this tech company at Microsoft. And so I was just like, I wasn't getting any luck anywhere else. No one was looking at my resume. Everyone was just like, guy from Hawaii.
You were still living in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sold everything and just moved up.
For the internship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just stayed at my friend's place.
Snap.
Yeah. And then...
You were a brown belt at that point, so you were like really far into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just got it too.
Okay.
It was pretty messed up. It was great that I got it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I left and did the internship. And when I left, you get promoted, and I went on a bender.
What does that mean?
You know what a bender is.
What kind of bender?
Yeah.
Is this guy full of hot dogs or beer? I don't know.
Beer. Lots of it. And so as a newly crowned brown belt and haven't trained in like 3-4 weeks, so I didn't immediately train when I came up here.
You're what they call a hobbyist.
Yeah. Well, that, and I was, trying to get hired at a company.
Right,
so
right.
I'm, busting my ass there. So I'm out of shape, and I walk in, and Elite at the time was the first gym that I went to visit.
Because it's like right by.
It's right by the campus.
Same town as
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah. And walked in, and they had a good distribution of belts, and for me, I think the one thing I looked at was like gym culture.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, everyone, like I walked in, everyone was saying hi, nice to meet you, you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's a friendly environment there.
Yeah, people were welcoming, and I was like, okay, cool, sign up. But man, brown belt, new gym, like everyone's trying to take your head off, and here I am, I'm just like
fat, out of shape,
exactly,
fresh brown belt too. So it's not like you're seasoned and like comfortable in the belt. Yeah,
I bet you someone was trying to take a picture of me, like, hey, McDojo, look at this guy.
Yeah.
It was bad. Yeah, it was not good.
I love it. Yeah, I personally love it.
Yeah.
So with the promotion stuff, now in the title, it probably says we're going to talk about Craig Jones Invitational and ADCC. As soon as we get past the intro section, we're going to dive into that. So for people that are like, when the F are they going to talk about that? We will.
That's what timestamps are for.
Yes, timestamps.
You're fine.
And if you ask for timestamps because they're not there yet, don't worry, they're coming. We always get someone that says that comments before we put them.
Nerd.
Yes. What was your favorite promotion? Like what belt? Which one meant the most?
Oh, it's I think black.
Besides black.
Okay, besides black.
Yeah. Because that one's kind of obvious and easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one that had the most feels was brown belt because it was my last day training with everybody, and it's
Did you know it was coming?
No, I didn't know it was coming. Yeah. So I was a purple belt for about 3 years. And it was my last day at the gym, gonna move.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was the last day of the gym because they were closing and then moving to a new location. So everybody was there. And yeah, got the promotion, and yeah, it was bittersweet because I'm saying goodbye.
A lot of emotions in there.
Yeah, people that, you know how it is. You share a bond with these people, you train with them every day. And then you're leaving them. It was like the hardest thing for me to leave. Hawaii was my jiu-jitsu crew.
Right.
And then you get the belt on top of that. It was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. What belt was your favorite to be at?
Probably brown. I think my brown belt journey was probably a comparison to most people's purple.
How long were you brown belt then?
I was a brown belt from 2018 to
22.
2023. It's almost 5 years. Yeah. Yeah.
But you had a bad knee injury within that, didn't you?
Yeah. So I've had a bad knee probably since
Every belt, you have a re-injury of sorts?
kind of, really. Yeah. I had a bad injury at 15, and then I constantly dislocate. Chris, you can probably give the right diagnosis here, but I would constantly, my patella would shift out in and out.
Like the kneecap?
Yeah, it would just pop out to the right. So with my left knee, it would pop out to the right. At least it felt like it. Maybe 20 plus times in my life since 15. It limited me a lot in my training too. Like I couldn't really standing pass. Anytime I would try to explode or like do like put pressure, explode off my left, I would feel it give. This is why I don't do stand up. I'm a bit trauma from stand up because there's like a sweet spot where like there's my knees bent and it's straight.
Yeah.
And when I used to do takedown practice,
Yeah.
I could feel it like getting close to
Whether
popping
it's
out.
wrestling and your knee hitting the mat for like shots or
Getting taken down itself or sprawling or any of that
someone
stuff.
kicking a leg out.
Pivoting too.
Yeah.
You're changing directions with a patellar dislocation.
Yeah.
We call it subluxation or dislocation.
So that rotation essentially with the foot and
Where
the
you're getting
ground.
that side to side
Yeah.
kind of forces to.
So that's your excuse.
Yeah, well, yes, kind of. It is. Yes, I'm a little bit of trauma that I'm working through. But yeah, I got that bad injury because it was COVID that happened. We were going through all that mess during COVID, and trying to figure out things with jiu-jitsu. And so I wasn't hardly training. And before I get my black, I wanted to compete at Master Worlds. I was like, I want to do that. Like, just do one big tournament under my...
Did you train during the Voldemort?
Oh, yeah. Like everyone did.
Some people didn't.
Yeah.
But were you like, did you have a little group that
No.
kind of latched on?
No. We, Andrea did a really, 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 really good job of like keeping up and reading all the documentation for the Voldemort rules. And we followed it to a T.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you weren't like...
Oh, we had it boxed out. We had our
okay.
own little training station.
That's what I meant is like, did you do like...
It didn't make any sense.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant is like, so like we had our little trust tree.
Fight club.
Yeah. We maintained Zoom classes for people that weren't comfortable.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah.
And then you have more rebellious,
Right.
I guess, which would be like our 10 to 15 person group that morphed into basically the whole gym.
Yeah.
And then we would train on our own.
Yeah.
But without the
No,
regulation.
we didn't want to risk it. Andrea just opened her gym. And I mean, if anyone knows, when you open a gym, you have a lot of invested already. You're trying to break even. This happens.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to risk anything. Now, there's that saying that her and I didn't get to train. I mean, I had a
Of course, you have a training
third degree
partner.
black belt that I was dating at the time, like take full advantage of that. So we trained. And then I think it was like November or October, I fully blew out my MPFL.
In 20?
In 2021? No, 2020, yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
2020.
Your what?
My MPFL. It's the...
Made up?
No, I actually
G.I.
Googled...
Joe?
I looked it up before I came here because I didn't want to
Well,
say
why don't you
anything wrong.
educate this old bag of bones?
And so if I look it up...
Tell them what the new
Are you talking
medicine
about your
says.
PCL?
No, it's
Chris,
my
stop.
MPFL. There we go. MPFL.
Oh, the patellofemoral ligament.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
That's a weird one.
Medial patella.
Patellofemoral ligament.
Yeah.
What do you mean weird one? What is that?
It's not as common as like, your MCLs or your LCL or your ACL or even your PCL.
Yeah. So I
Injuries.
blew that. And that was the first time where I knew I had to get surgery. Because when I would walk, it was like walking on stilts.
Yeah.
Kind
I
of like
couldn't-
when we see someone get Salulev stretched and like something snaps, and then when they try to walk, it's like the knee is like almost has no structure. to it.
Yeah. It wasn't. It was opposite of like when people get like ACL. It's like, oh, my knee locked up or something like that.
Yeah.
Mine was opposite. It was like I can't keep it.
It was
like,
a
put-
limp rubber band. That
Yeah. Yeah. Like I put anything on this, like the rest of all the other ligaments are gonna go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Why did we go down that road? If you were training during Voldemort.
No, you were asking why it took so long to.
Oh.
So I had that,
Yeah.
and then I had to fix that. I had to have 3 procedures, and because Chris is here, I can have him kind of translate what these are.
So
if you don't mind.
so typically the MCL or the LCL will go.
Well, the patellofemoral ligament is very much in what he was talking about his whole life. He was having problems with.
Yeah.
Right. That patellar subluxation. And things like
So I had 3 procedures. I had a tibial tubercle osteotomy, a lateral release of my patella, and an MPFL reconstruction.
Yeah. So the the tibial tubercle is where the patellar, they call it a patellar tendon. It's technically a ligament. It connects patella to the tibia. The tubercle is where that connects. The reconstruction, where did you get did they use your own tissue?
Yeah, they
didn't
took
do
something.
A cadaver. They didn't. They used your
Or a
tissue.
donor.
To be honest, I don't know
It would
because
say
I don't have any other scars anywhere else.
Yeah,
so
it would say autograft.
Well,
yeah,
instead of allograft.
well,
that's our secret, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Got a little black market, a little ligament.
Yeah,
I was thinking there's already an opening to get some tissue.
but I think you're asking me why brown belt was so important, why it took so long.
Yeah,
because I had those surgeries, and then
moving to a new gym.
moving to the gym, and then it wasn't easy coming back from that. That sucked. I had 8 weeks no weight bearing.
Yep.
I had a ton of muscle atrophy. I mean, you think my legs are tiny now, buddy? And it was.
So that was the beginning of what the body we see nowadays is.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
I get it.
But yeah, and then I think for me, when I was, after the surgery, I was like, I'm gonna do Worlds next year, regardless. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I was back on the mats. Probably had the surgery in February of 2021. Back on the mats July of that year, and just to do hip escape. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
And then did PT 3 times a week, drilled. And then when I met Tech Cascade, that's kind of where I was able to really, really test it. So about a year
unfamiliar
after.
people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Probably challenge you mentally too.
Oh yeah.
When you start going to another gym and
Because the first thing I had to break mentally was passing. I mean, you threw a De La Hiva hook on that side. I mean, before I would just crumble
for
and
sure.
fall to my knees immediately.
yeah.
And so I knew okay, my PT would tell me hey, if someone wraps you here, just stay. You got to teach your nerves. You got to, break your mind, all these things. And so.
What was your first impression coming to Cascade and seeing Chris? Rolling with him for the first time. Do you remember that? You were proud of the gym for having them in and stuff.
I don't know.
Government program.
Well, actually, I listened to the podcast before I met him.
Really?
Yeah. So
I didn't
when I
know we were
actually,
recording before you guys started recording.
yeah. So when I first met him, I was kind of starstruck. And I was like, look at this doctor.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Were we really recording before you
Yeah.
guys started coming consistently?
Yeah.
not too long though. Maybe about.
But this
probably
was
5 or 6
back in the day when you
probably
guys were first testing out the new
probably-
audio and all that.
Probably 5 or 6 months.
Was
before.
it the Speakeasy Jiu-Jitsu podcast?
Maybe it wasn't the grappling with. It was
Oh, that
the
was
iteration.
When I
was-
had
before.
you on that.
He just had me on his podcast.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we started not too long
Yeah.
after that.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So what was your, first impression
Of Cascade, the
of
gym.
him?
Of him? Oh, starstruck, like I said. Yeah. It's this doctor has time to roll and it's a brown belt.
I
And
feel like he has a gun to your nuts or something.
He's very disappointed in you right now.
I know.
Very disappointed.
Most memorable match, or which I think I could probably pick out,
Yeah, you know which one. You were
but
there.
or round of training that really sticks out.
Round of
You can say the match, but
Oh, the match is, The match to me was, when I did Master Worlds and first
brown belt, right?
At brown belt and first round, my opponent didn't show up. And so I got to get the #1 seed as my first match.
yeah,
And when the seeding came out, I knew I was
the
going to
guy
be at
that
the
won the previous year.
Yeah,
also.
and he won, I think, Euros and Pans and
Certifiable stud.
yeah, and he has he's a influencer too in the jiu-jitsu community. He's got a ton of followers and all that stuff. And I was obsessing over it. Mm-hmm. I'm weird. Everybody.
Well, we knew you because we planned. Because Bryan and I really worked with each other a lot for that lead up.
Yeah.
And we knew, we just anticipated you were going against him.
Yeah.
We kind of from a mental perspective, it was in your head from the get-go.
Yeah.
Which I think is, yes, you don't want to look past your first person. I was doing the same because I had, I think, the 4th or 5th or something like that ranked guy in my second round.
Yeah.
So it was kind of similar thing of okay, same thing. That guy travels a lot. So we kind of both in our minds were like, we didn't want to look past the first guy, but let's have a game plan for that guy.
I just wanted to be the guy that ruined the bracket. You know, like what better thing to be like, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
You know, there's no name coming in here. Can't even have my full name on the score.
Just say butt.
Yeah, just said butt. It literally just said buttle. Yeah. I was like, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
But one thing we didn't train, lapel escaping.
That's true.
Which bit me in the second round.
Which is funny because that was my whole game plan.
Yeah, I know.
And what I did
Yeah.
at Worlds was lapel, but we didn't work on like going against it because we're like, no one's playing.
No one's going to play this. Yeah.
And that guy played it on you.
And that guy played it on me.
But still came out on top.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Ended up beating them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy match that was like, you think you were up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I swept him. I
pretty
pulled
pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then he was throwing machine gun heat at you. Dude did not like getting swept.
No.
And was throwing it as and I think maybe you can talk about the last probably 2 minutes of the match. You were in a triangle. Yeah,
I was in a triangle probably for a good minute, maybe.
Yeah, it
like
seemed
a tight
forever.
Triangle. Shout out to Jake. His triangles prepped me for that. Sparring. Jake has way better triangle pressure than that guy. Not to discredit the other guy, but yeah. So I felt actually really, really comfortable there. And you know, I think in any pressure situation, especially when someone has a submission on you, you just if you drilled it, go back to the escape that you drilled and like don't brink from that. And that's all I was thinking was like, okay, posture, get your hands on the thighs and just get out. Like you're up. Don't freak out. Control your breathing.
Stay on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all I was thinking. And then once I got out, and this is what I love about point sport jiu-jitsu is like, I don't have to submit the guy. Right. And so I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh, he's up 2 advantages, but I got 2 points. 30 seconds left. He just closed his guard on me. I'm just gonna stall. Like, like
give me all the negatives.
Give me all the negatives. It doesn't matter because in my head I did that quick math. I'm like, oh, this
right.
Yeah. So just
you pretty much got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was a really cool moment. I remember I had finished just before my match, and I was waiting. But I couldn't. I was like, I'm not going back to the bullpen because at Master Worlds they will shoot you like they're like they will not let it be packed like where the mats are. Yeah. They try to get you back off into the bullpen for your next match. But I didn't care. I pretended I was warming up on other mats, like I was on deck. But the whole time I was just watching, and I just did not want to leave. Like I was so zeroed in. Yeah. I wish we could like get people to watch the match so they could see Andrea coaching you.
Oh God,
yes. That is the absolute best.
Yes.
Because now it doesn't matter who she's coaching; she is rowdy.
Yeah,
but there's a little extra.
Oh yeah, and I could hear it the whole time.
Yeah,
and I was like, I got this. I know.
But it's when she's standing, screaming, jumping up and down over the railing.
Yeah,
and you're just seeing this like wild woman, and then she disappears.
Yep.
Like she fell off a cliff.
Then she pops back up.
And then she pops up, but not up.
Nope. Through
the
void.
The curtains that are the rail. She's about 2 feet off the ground on like her knees, and her head just pops through like a magic show. Yeah. And then it's like, Bryan! I don't know what she was saying, but she was amazing.
Oh, that is my favorite.
Yeah. Literally, we love it.
Yeah.
It's one of the best.
Yeah. I could hear her the whole time, especially when I was in that triangle. I could hear her the whole entire time. And it was cool. Like it's awesome to have your coach be your wife. Mm-hmm. And then just hearing her voice. Like I locked in on her voice. Like I could hear no one else. Yeah. And it's packed. It's loud there, but I could just hear her the entire time.
That is a cool thing. I remember at the last Rev, I had you coaching me.
Until Andrew kicks me.
That was hilarious.
Until you
right
were escorted out. Are you sure you want it? And it's like, yeah, go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll hold the water. How about that?
Yeah.
And,
I'll tell you the time.
I was laughing.
but in the first 30 seconds, you were in the chair, and Olivia, I think, was next to you. And I heard you saying, be aggressive, especially as I threw in my grappling hook of a grip. And I heard you like just saying, aggressive, aggressive, be aggressive. And then you were like, yes, when I did that. Yeah. And I also, same thing, I heard Olivia's, she didn't say one thing the whole match, except for nice. And I was able to pick that voice out of when she did that. And it's like, that is like really like kind of cool and helpful to have that kind of super identifiable voice that's right there.
Yeah. For anyone who's competing, I would definitely suggest, even if you're like a white, blue, like have the courage. If there's a lot of people competing, like we have a lot of people that compete typically at the Rev, right? Like just ask people to even corner you. I know Andrew tries his best to, like, he's running everywhere during tournaments, but he can't be at two places at once. So just like ask people and like really build that, I think, that connection ahead of time, because I think it's so vital to have good chemistry with your coach, especially if the coach knows your game.
Yes. That's where we benefited a lot was we're not giving each other like a lot of technical advice, but if there's moments of motivation that are needed, as in like, let's say a time is getting low or you're down on points and you need to like, your training partner, which is now coaching you, kind of knows like, hey dude, you gotta like get going. Cause I know your game is a little, like my game's a little more slow developing because it's very baity. So you're like, hey Bill, you gotta go, like move, you know? So you're not even like giving a technical piece, like, hey, put your hand here and then cinch this up. It's just purely like time. You got your points, which can be huge because maybe you're holding knee on belly and your outside knee isn't up. So you're not even getting points. So then your partner can actually tell you, hey, get your knee up, or, okay, you got your points. Now you can move on to whatever you're trying to do.
And
next.
like, if you don't get the points, let your coach argue for you. Like, don't get held up on like, oh, I did it here. And then like, look at like, no, like who is Atai? I think Atai is like the perfect example of, you know, he, at the time he was a white belt, but anyone who coached him, he would just listen. Like he took everything literal. So even if you overcoached him, you're like, oh shit, like, okay, tone it back. Like, I didn't literally mean like, I don't know, go to him out now. But at some point, looked him out. You know, I think you want to be like that. Just listen to your coach, trust your coach. And just be in there and just work.
He's funny because we had at the last Grappling Industries, it ran a little long, so it was just three of us left: Atai, me, and Olivia, so forth, and then Berg. Yeah, he's a white belt. He was the last one competing. Atai had just finished, but Atai was hanging out, and Atai's sitting next to me in the coach's chair, and Berg was not listening super well to like advice, and all you hear is Atai, listen to Bill, listen to Bill. He's yelling, just listen to like, and then Berg started listening.
It helps so much.
So funny.
Like I learned that lesson from MMA days because they can see what you can't. You know, they can pick up on the little cues that the opponent is doing. You know, and they understand like the context of everything else. Like all you should be focused on is in the moment, what you're doing right then and there.
It's really tough coaching sometimes because the over coaching can happen. Where you're like giving too much technical advice. That's a hard balance. And then like, especially like someone like Kieran, let's say, it's unfortunate he quit jiu-jitsu, but it's like, 'cause I think he was pretty good.
I thought he's still around. It's Nikita that quit.
Well, I thought, no, Nikita quit a long time ago, but Kieran quit at least a week ago, unfortunately.
That sucks.
You know, but
R.I.P.
Yeah. And he was, he might be setting, because has kind of like me, a little bit sneaky game. Like he'll bait stuff. So you might be like, be telling him to do something when he's intentionally making it look like one
That's
thing.
when you got to know your athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And having that familiarity that like,
Yep.
okay, he's got closed guard with an overhook. He's past the lapel. You might be telling him to go for the arm bar
He's setting up a cross collar.
when he wants to do a cross collar or a jerk choke or something, or a punch choke. Yeah. Or he's doing the punch choke and you're like, dude, the arm bar is right there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's wants the guy to defend that so then he can do this. And so if the athlete doesn't have that confidence in your guys' almost like knowledge of each other, then they start getting out of their game, listening to you when that probably actually wasn't the best move, even though it's a blue belt and a black belt, like, coaching.
For sure.
So that relationship is absolutely huge. And I think part of it you can do that in the gym where like how we really drilled for lead up to Master Worlds, we drilled a ton with each other and like did scenarios and like situationals. So then we like knew each other, and then that obviously also Andrea was helping us a ton as well. So having her coach us in that became like much easier because like even at the Rev when she was coaching me, like she knew I was working ankle locks like big time. And as soon as that thing presented itself, she just goes, go for it.
Yeah. Send it.
Go for it, Bill. Like that was all she said. And I just go, okay.
Yeah.
It's like when you can have that kind of camaraderie and you can develop that in the gym.
Yeah.
It can make competition like, I won't say easier, but way more comfortable.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then you don't have that. And now sometimes you can't like, especially like we have a pretty big team, like you're saying, Andrew's running around, I'm running around, Chris running, everyone's running around, where it's like, okay, well, Jeff, you're going to have to step in and help this person, or Olivia, you're going to have to jump in.
But I think just having that conversation leading up, like if you know, okay, it's Monday, I'm going to be competing on Saturday and I know there's 20 other people. Hey, Chris, if Andrew can't coach me, do you mind, and then this is going to be my game plan. That's why I ask folks leading up, like, okay, are you going to pull guard? Or, try to take down.
Yeah.
Like that's the first question to answer in the decision tree.
Yeah, I have a real problem with this whole conversation about the last Rev, though. It was extremely well organized for coaching.
Extremely what?
Well organized for coaching.
I know Andrew did great.
I'm just saying. I had a clipboard and everything.
Yeah.
We've heard about this clipboard.
So
that's been banned.
I've upgraded. Come on.
What would you say the biggest mistakes you've made in jiu-jitsu are at any point in the journey?
Biggest mistakes?
Whether it's, having a girly physique or eating donuts too much, not strength training, not working on flexibility.
And not rolling with another black belt that asks you to roll.
Ignoring rolls. Well, hey.
I mean,
the cat was let out of the bag
about
you dodging.
If I could answer, if there's anything that I regret.
Sure.
I would say probably, I think just not competing as much in my earlier belts. I think if I could go back, I think that's probably the main thing that I would change.
Did you compete much at white?
My first competition was brown.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like it'd been nice to get some of that out of the way. Those first, like just knowing what the process is.
Yeah, it's just getting familiar with it, and I never understood the strategy part of
competition
sport jiu-jitsu, and it's just a whole other thing, and that's the part that I love. I love jiu-jitsu, I love training, I love all the you guys know.
Wait a minute,
I love all the cool moves.
Wait a minute, how many comps have you done at brown belt?
Just 2.
One, then worlds.
And your bitch ass is talking about being a retired athlete. I did not know this. So what people don't know, this guy, he said once was it right after Worlds or was it when you got your black belt?
It was right after Worlds.
He goes, I'm retiring from competition. I thought this guy had a bunch of comps under his belt and was like, I'm done. I've done what I wanted. Went on the big stage, beat a really good guy. I feel happy with my
I have
career.
to defend him. I'd argue for efficiency.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Losing 2 tournaments.
Well, I think
First of all,
all about
my IBJJF career record is 1-1 with 0 points scored against me.
yeah. Hello.
So, okay, took out the number 1 guy.
Hello.
I'm just gonna say, hey,
It's not
just like my MMA career, 1-0.
It's just like a mic drop, dude.
It just says walkover for your MMA fight. Undefeated.
Yep.
Not a point scored, not a punch landed.
Yep.
Wow, that's oddly angering to me. So yeah, he says he's retired now, which is amazingly frustrating.
I don't know, but I might be like MJ.
Yeah,
I don't know.
this
We'll
year,
see one day.
This year, black belt,
We'll see.
worlds.
We'll see. There's a certain somebody that just got his black belt recently in the Washington area.
Yeah, if people don't know, he's been calling out Demetrius Johnson.
Yes.
the UFC ex
Might as well.
or whatever weight champion.
You have?
Yeah. He doesn't know who I am.
No,
Why
but
should he?
He said, "I've been waiting for Demetrius to get his black belt because I'm gonna beat his little ass."
Yes.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He did not say that verbatim.
I did not say that, but
verbatim.
I did say that
You know,
I
I'm
would
gonna link
love
this- I'm
to.
going to link Jan to
Yeah,
this episode.
the sentiment was there.
Yeah, I would love to take on DJ.
Yeah.
You know, best MMA fighter of all time. Now entering our world
Yes.
of jiu-jitsu.
You see him training with the Rotolos?
Yeah,
I mean, we could probably make this happen.
we probably could.
Dojo storm down there and
We could.
tell Jan that, hey, we're not dojo storming, but this idiot thinks we are.
But he will. He'll probably ignore me there too.
Yeah. You're going to try to roll with him every time. He's like, no.
He goes, who the fuck is this guy?
Pretty much. Yeah.
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 So you just wish you would have competed more, probably even into purple. And
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Just for the strategy part of it, because I love that. Like I love the preparation. I love the point system of comp.
Because, yeah, you can be a good competitor, and that doesn't mean you're a better jiu-jitsu practitioner, for sure. We've started, as we've competed more and more and just been around that more, it's kind of hard, I think, to tell that just by watching jiu-jitsu. Like, because we've always watched jiu-jitsu a ton. But actually being a part of competition, whether that's your friends and, like, helping them or understanding that, like, knowing how good they are, but then maybe they don't compete like anywhere near as good as they do in the gym or vice versa, where someone that's like, they're tough, but they don't typically get the upper hand on a lot of people in the gym.
Yeah.
But then they go to a competition and they win.
Yeah.
And it's like, that can totally happen. And it's purely almost a strategic piece to that.
Oh, I think if you don't have a good strategy, I think you're doing yourself a disservice when you go and compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge piece. So,
And you said it before on the podcast, like shrinking the game. Like it can't get simpler than that. Like if anything, just minimize your game.
yeah.
As much as I love all the new shit and cool shit, don't throw it at a comp.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you get side control, don't rush to mount. Like hang out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Rushing and like what I call getting greedy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I always tell people, just go to north-south for a while. Or just start, Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so
Getting
people
greedy.
know north-south is the best way to control people that are way stronger than you.
It's
Just
really good.
go to it.
And if you're up 6-0, even 2-3-0, and there's like a minute left, it's going to cause a reaction from your opponent. There's nothing you have to do. They're going to have to make a mistake. Their risk reward changes drastically. So they're going to have to take a risk, and that's the opportunity to counter.
Totally.
Yeah.
What's some advice for white belts?
Advice for white belts?
Yeah.
The cliche, don't chase the belt thing. You know, when I started jiu-jitsu, you saw there was, we all saw like there's like 1 or 2 black belts, like when we started our journey, right? And then you're thinking to yourself, that's cool. It's not in my cards, but wow, that's really, really cool. And I think nowadays, now that there's more black belts, I think it's changed maybe the mentality of people who start where maybe they're chasing the belt. But for me, I thought it was like the sensei.
Maybe because it almost seems more attainable, because it's like you come to our class and there's 11 black belts. You're like, oh, it's not like that crazy. Yeah. Compared to, when I started, probably similar. I don't think anyone got promoted in between me and you starting, but there was Mo at the gym, but there was Mo, Andrew,
Haggerty when I was there.
He was a brown belt.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying.
No,
You're
but
probably getting promoted to black belt.
No, I'm just saying black belts that were there.
I see what you're saying.
Besides them, I don't know who else was training actively that was a black belt.
And I'm not saying like being a black belt now is watered down. I think there's just more of them.
More people have stuck with it, and then the numbers have grown from, let's say if it takes an average of 8 to 10 years to get your black belt, how many people in the last 8 to 10 years, Joe Rogan and Rocco and UFC, whatever.
Yeah, but dude, that's consistent training, dude.
Yeah.
So there's injuries.
Oh, yeah. And so it's just naturally like we're seeing just more. And then, people sticking out. So let's say like Mo, he's now a 2nd degree, I think. So he's been a black belt for a while, and he still trains. Yeah. So then you're just milking in guys like us and, Haggerty and stuff like that.
But so you asked what advice would I give white belts? I think 2 pieces of advice. If I could go back to myself as a white belt, what would I say? I would say first thing is prioritize injury prevention. Like that, I think, to me. So doing the extra stuff outside of just going to jiu-jitsu class to do a lot of that injury prevention, mobility training that I'm sure Chris can go on for. So I think that's one piece of advice. And I think the second piece of advice is really try to simplify positions or any moves that you get. Try to understand like the principle of it, like the first order principle of everything. And I think it'll get you out of that mindset of there's all these moves that I have to understand, blah, 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 blah. Or I could just understand like side control, either controlling the hips or you're controlling the head. Everything else in between there, just figure it out. You'll learn different techniques, but at the end of the day, like that's good side control. Open guard, just understand frames, like my grips with my hands, where do my feet go? Understanding that, like, okay.
Knees to chest kind of thing. Like,
Let's really try to break down the move to the principal problem that it's trying to solve. And that's more maybe for like the nerdy folks like me, but that to me that light bulb didn't click until like Brown. And once that clicked, then I could start to be creative. Yeah. Once I understood the principles of everything, then I'm like, okay, I can be creative here and being like, okay. And in real time, like when I'm rolling, I can see like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm playing some weird open guard and someone passes and I'm like, oh, but if I switch hands here and then I put my foot here, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that I'm controlling everything and I'll just see how their body reacts.
Absolutely. Having that foundation of the concept, like rotational control.
Yeah.
Right? All these little things, right? Yeah. I agree 100% because you can make up something and you're like, oh, it still follows that principle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
What do you think about the hardest part of being a black belt is?
Hardest part of being a black belt, outside of the bullseye on your back, of when it's sparring time.
Is that more from like blue belts and purple belts, or do you find out the whole way through?
I think the whole way through.
Yeah, pretty much
everybody. You and I, we visit other gyms quite a bit, and whenever I drop in, if I haven't been there, like I'm super, super careful because I know like there's a bounty on my head. I don't know the culture of this gym at all. So I gotta be super, super careful. Right.
What do you mean by that? Careful? Like you're not rolling with everyone, or you're
just being, very, very throwing my pride to the side and just being very deliberate of who I'm rolling with. So typically, if if I'm visiting a gym, I'm probably know somebody there, right?
Yeah.
Either the black belt that owns it, or I dropped in with a friend. So my first roll is with them, and then I'll rest my second one. I'm warmed up. I'm resting my second one. I'm just like observing now.
Yeah. Seeing who's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, You play more of a conservative game too,
yeah.
right? And you're not opening up a lot.
No.
For injury prevention, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
You get hurt. I've gone down this path too many times. Yep. Once you get hurt, that uphill climb is so taxing on the body, on the mind. And I do jiu-jitsu to just keep a good life balance. I love it. I love the camaraderie, but I also love the benefits on my health, on my mental health, on my emotional health. And if, I made a mistake and, rolled with somebody that I shouldn't have, that I should have maybe said no to, and something bad happens, now it's 6 months to come back.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah. Brutal.
It's just not worth it.
And I'm sure as you're getting older too, you're probably realizing that, those comebacks from injury are longer and more brutal.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
What's that?
What's the toughest thing about being a black belt?
Yeah. What Bryan said is really, because people don't care if you're a 54-year-old dude. They're like, you're a black belt. They're going to come after you. It's one of the reasons why I don't drop in. As much as I would like to, unless I really have a good sense of a lot
like
of the
he
folks
said,
there.
someone, you kind of understand the culture.
Because an injury for me, I do jiu-jitsu also for my mental health big time, right? It really evens me out. And the worst thing, if I'm a little crabby anyway, you guys probably know that. And when I'm injured, like that last bad one, that adductor injury I had, I was just having like these little mini mental health crises because I was just angry all the time and I was hurting. And so my goal is to acquire technique now, but is to prevent being injured more than anything now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you don't want to be like super overly protective. But so it's tough, man. That's the toughest thing for me.
Yeah. It's just knowing that like you're going to have to protect yourself, especially whether it's visitors or even honestly, even in your own gym, like, there's that friendly competition of like, I'm going to get the old man black belt today.
Yeah. And I can feel you can feel the vibe of the roll too. And then I go into protective mode real quick if I feel like I'm not going to do any crazy new.
And I know this was actually something I wanted to bring up to you both, but I think one that there's a little bit of part of me that struggles with it, but I know more so just as a generalization of black belts that may struggle with this, because I see it in comments on social media all the time when this topic comes up, but I don't give a shit if I get topped out by a lower belt. I really, really don't. But what will tick me off and what I will remember is when that goes out.
Yep.
And when it starts,
I know exactly what he means.
When, let's just say, John Doe tapped me.
Just say I'm a purple belt.
Okay.
And I tap Bryan and I go out and start saying,
we're talking about John Haywood.
No. He's the nicest guy in the world.
Let's say hypothetically, I'm a purple belt and I catch Bryan.
Okay.
And then I go start, hey, I just caught Bryan in submission, that type of thing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to remember that.
Yeah. As you should.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. That's not over there.
If somehow that got back to you, that like
it usually does.
They were talking about
don't do that.
How they caught you.
Never do that.
No, don't. It just doesn't do anything. There's no point.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah, and
and I think there is a difference between talking about like, man, I was berimboloing Bryan and or let me reverse that. So Bryan was berimboloing me, and like, man, I actually I was able to dive on this knee bar, and I was able to suck, and I couldn't quite get it, but then like I had to do this readjustment where I kicked my legs and I ate the burrito, and like
that's different.
And then I caught him.
Different.
That's right. That's not like saying, "Hey, I tap Bryan."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's definitely a difference in reason, tone. And you kind of know, like, if I feel like personally, there's some people out there that might not. But you kind of know when you're doing it one way or the other. You want someone to know sometimes.
Of course.
If one, a black belt might be hard to tap, but two, like, especially like, I know both of you will, there's times where you're like, I'm not going to fight very hard out of this. I'm just going to tap whatever the belt level is.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah. And so there might be times where like people kind of talk about it in a certain light of like, oh, I got him. But then there's like someone like myself, which we all know doesn't always tap right away.
Yep.
And
that's why I brought it up. This is your intervention.
It's a little intervention. You got you in a room.
and I might like be playing a little coy until I'm in a deep sub, and then I'm like, all right, now I'm gonna fight like pretty aggressively to get out. So if you tap me, the guy that like doesn't give taps maybe quite as easily, not that I'm like harder to tap, it's just that I'll be more resistant in like a deep stage or late stage moment, right? I think someone might brag about that because they're interpreting I'm harder to tap than you guys, when that's not necessarily true. You guys are just saving your bodies more than I am.
Yeah. And we throw away our pride.
If someone gets, if someone gets me deep in an armbar,
Yeah.
only bad stuff can happen. I might get out.
Yeah.
Right?
I really like to capitalize might. Like that's in all caps. Yeah. And I see that in my brain and I go for it.
Yeah.
And I fight harder to get out with higher belts.
Yeah.
Because I know that they're giving me time. You know, because I know that they're not putting 100% effort into the finish. Like they'll have the arm bar, they have the perfect technique, and I know there'll be like 1 or 2 seconds that I can try to get out until, okay, the full technique is in here. There's no way I'm getting out of here.
I think we had that with a, did you choke me or was that a ankle lock?
I don't know.
The last time you caught me, it was like last week.
I'm like
We were
quarterback.
doing situationals. And we were giggling like little children. But he had, I think it was a choke.
Yeah.
And it was so deep. I mean, I was like gurgling.
Yeah.
Veins were popping
You
out.
do not like to tap. I've
He
watched
doesn't.
you. You sit there and
He
let your
doesn't.
head blow up.
Yeah,
I've
he
watched
doesn't.
you, dude.
And it was gnarly. But like you got to a point that was, let's say like 80% effort, like pretty good amount of effort. Obviously, you're still gonna have to do that, especially with the upper belts.
Yeah.
But it was like locked in, and then you held it instead of going 80 to like 90, and then like full rip. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna hold proper technique.
Yeah,
I know you could feel good connection with the choke and stuff, and I'm trying to like the last ditch effort, but it was because I could trust that you're not gonna go to that. Like if you were a blue belt or a purple belt, Sam, I know you're gonna rip my face off. And if I was caught that deep with, let's say, Sam, I know I'm gonna have to tap, like, because I literally might actually get hurt, rather than I can kind of trust in this moment. Also, if I happen to go out, like I know you're gonna have the
wherewithal.
Yes, that where you're gonna like see that I'm like snoring or something like that, and like you would let go.
Yeah.
Rather than someone that's just focused on that choke so aggressively, you're not maybe paying attention.
Well, and I hate to compliment you, but one of my favorite people to roll with is Bryan, because
when he does.
No, he does.
I
He has
roll
to give him
all
a
the
hard.
time.
We roll together all the time.
All the time.
Did you say no to him last?
He did, but
then I rolled it with him afterwards.
Yeah, he rolled with me afterwards. It's during situations. I was being an ass.
Why don't you keep it up?
No,
You always let go of it too early. You let the fish.
guy.
Is he?
Yes.
I'm the best.
So
Such a lovable guy.
My point was, when he gets something that tough position, I know he's not going to hurt me, and so it's a really.
And you also probably keep track of like that's like the one time he got you to the 15 times you got him.
No.
So you feel good about it.
True at
No,
all.
it's the other way.
There is another class.
I know. I brought my key. But I think a lot of, I don't know. I just see that negativity in the scene, especially on social media, where Yeah, I don't like that.
Of what?
Just people saying like, oh, lower belts shouldn't tap upper belts, like black belts, like.
Yeah, that's silly.
And I'm not going to use that excuse of, oh, I'm letting them work in. Like sometimes I am, and sometimes they just caught me. Like,
Yeah, you don't have to tell them.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like if you are practicing your late stage stuff and all that, you don't have to be like, oh, good, man. I was practicing my late stage and you got me.
No.
That's just a wink of like, bitch.
And let's be honest, there's purple belts that have black belt level technique on
100%.
certain things. Yeah. So, you know.
And really, you should, and I think we've talked about this, is when you are a purple belt, you're going to have something that's like essentially black belt level.
Yeah.
Totally.
Maybe it's your knee cut. Maybe it's your arm bar. Like you're going to have something that has to be respected.
Yeah.
For
Sam,
sure.
it's his tapping.
He's so good at it, though.
He's so good at it.
I've seen him do normal taps, reverse taps.
I love his verbal tap.
Oh, yeah.
He's got that.
One of the best verbal taps in the gym.
Dude, I feel like I have to defend him now.
No, you don't. He tried to knee bar all of us. So.
I'll take credit for that, honestly. If I could, please.
Okay. You know, we're running short on our CGI
Clickbait.
time.
CGI. Oh, got it.
So we're going to have to condense that a little
Yeah,
bit.
we can splice all this up,
Yeah.
right? That's why you're here.
Part 1, part 2.
Okay.
We got it.
Okay.
How long have we been going, Liv?
An hour.
An hour 6.
That's pretty long.
That's pretty.
This might be a 2-part series. With that, no one cares about you anymore. And yeah, let's actually move into the